Alright then. Welcome along, ladies and gentlemen, to, I believe we are on round 13 here in VRL Season 4 at the Singapore Grand Prix. We will be getting underway in just a few minutes for a full qualifying session. Here we go, we've got drivers coming out now. Tom Gitchpert's in that Williams out first, as per usual. It's relatively normal for him to be the first person out on track. Is there anyone else coming out of the pits? It doesn't look like it. Oh, and I believe that's because we haven't got enough drivers for anyone to be knocked out in Q1. Alexander Karstoff in the Ferrari coming out for a lap. But yes, as I've said, I believe we're going to be getting, I believe most drivers will just retire rather than doing a lap. Because with only 15 drivers, there won't be anyone knocked out in this Q1 session. Who's that that's just coming out on an out lap? One of the Mercs? Is it Theodore Stoneworth? Thought so. Also, where's P2? I've got 1, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. That's not right. I'm missing P2. Is there anyone that's not, like, showing up? And it just goes 3, 1. 1, 3. That's weird. Okay. Let's go on board with Tom Gitchberts for the first flying lap here at Singapore. Braking late-ish into turn 1. Obviously not pushing hard. It doesn't matter. No one's going to get knocked out in this session. So it's kind of just a, you know, feeling out how the track is doing in this particular session. Down this little back straight here. Braking early into here. Yeah, I wouldn't describe this as a push lap. I don't... No, he's not invalidated. He's just not pushing. Let's see if Alexander Karstoff is pushing. It looks like he is. Braking late into there, keeping it just within track limits. Missing that inside apex curb, which is what you want to do at that hairpin, is that apex curb will just lift the car. Cause you to lose a whole lot of time with not having the wheels on the ground. Now through the twisty part. Braking for the hairpin, always difficult, but Alexander Karstoff gets that pretty much bang on. Which is always good to see. Let's see if Tom Gitchberts is still not really doing a lap. No, yeah, he's not. If anything, it looks like he's probably saving those tyres. So 154. for Tom Gitchbert at 154.8. Whereas Alexander Karstoff, as we can see, is pushing relatively hard in this session. Here we go, to the line, and it's a 37.3 from Alexander Karstoff. Let's see what Theodore Stonewood does. It looks like Theodore Stonewood is pushing. And yes, indeed he is. It's going to be to the line a 36.9 for Theodore Stonewood. Very good lap, and we've now got lots and lots of people on outlaps. Like, lots and lots of people on outlaps. But no one currently on a flying lap. Ludwig Beresford out on the intermediate tyres. Obviously knowing that this race is not going to matter. This qualifying is not going to matter. Not going to be getting great grip off of those though. Nathan Den Hartog just shuffling himself to the back of the grid here, you know. He's not particularly fast. He don't want to be at the front of the pack as they all start their flying laps. So, Sam Zabadami is not going to be the first person to start flying laps. It's going to be Aidan Brown, who is now on his first flying lap of the session. Misses that apex, gets that one. Misses that apex. Doesn't open DRS, because why do you need DRS? Not using any ERS. Yeah, obviously I think all of these guys know that there's not going to be anyone knocked out of this session. So there's really no point in pushing. Like, no point at all. As Theodore Stonewood does a, you know, just a 36.5 on a second lap on those soft tyres. Finding, what, pretty much about 3/10 there to go faster again. As Nathan Den Hartog is still just letting people past. I mean, he really isn't fast. So that means that Sam Zabadami unfortunately, this is going to be a relatively boring Q1 session, as once everyone has set their laps, they will be promptly retiring from the session, I would expect. Sam Zabadami driving it to the line in the Alfa Romeo as Alexander Karstoff retires from the session, and it's a 38.656 from Sam Zabadami. Obviously, you're not on a full-out push lap. Let's have a look now at Stan in the Haas. Does a 38.680 on the soft tyres. Then behind him, I believe we've got Alexi Cavero. No, it's Ludwig. No, it's not even Ludwig. Is it Armin? Yeah, it is Armin. Armin Schleimer coming to the line is going to be a 43.5, backed off a lot in the final sector, that would suggest. Lawrence Shalvish to the line does a 35.8. To go fastest by what, 7/10 of a second? Yeah, okay, cool, you do that. Nathan Den Hartog still not started his flying lap. I feel like he's seeing if he can make this lap last the whole... I don't know what's going on here. It's annoying though. Who else have we got coming around to finish a lap? Is that... Yeah, it was. Eetu Koskinen. going with a 1:37.316 up into third, which is then removed by Alexi Cavero, who does a 37.1. We've also had Aidan Brown pop in a time for sixth with a 37.8. Jack Braxton on an outlap on the wet tyres. That car's going to be fun to drive at the moment. Natan's still going very slowly. What, halfway through Sector 1 and it's been a minute? So it's looking like it's going to be about a 6-minute lap for Natan. As Armin Schlomer wasn't there before, but he is now with a 38.3. Goes 5 seconds faster than his previous best time in the Alpine. But here comes Ludwig Beresford on the intermediate tyres, driving it to the line. It's going to be a 1 minute 56.1. Very good lap time there from him. So Natan made it to Sector 2. Just. Let's see what kind of time Jack Brassington can do on these full wets. So 1 minute 21 through the middle sector. Locks up, goes deep on the wet tyres. It's going to be a 2-minute lap time. Well, more than a 2-minute lap time here for Jack Brassington. For Nathan Den Hartog, it's going to be a long time. I can't tell if Nathan's trying to make this lap last until the end of the session or not. I kind of feel like he is. Jack Brassington does 2 minute 5. $16 miles an hour on the apex from Nathan Den Hartog. Absolutely pushing the limit right now. As Cameron Wynn finally comes out on an outlap. How long's left of the session? 4 minutes. So no. This lap won't last until the end of the session, rather disappointingly. It's going to be getting close to a 5-minute lap time for Nathan Den Hartog. In fact, that might be his aim. A 4-minute 55. I have no clue what Nathan's doing, I'm not going to lie. Wow, this looks really weird. It almost looks like Cameron Winner's got like a timing, like a bug to go faster. But I think it's just because we've been going so slow with Nathan for such a long time that my brain just can't comprehend that he's going quickly. Here we go. Pushing through Sector 2 now. It's a 104.368. To go purple in the middle sector from Cameron Wynn through the final sector. It's looking like it's going to be a decent time for Cameron. Sixth, 137.616. Can everyone retire now? Is Nathan doing a slow thing again? 11 seconds up on his previous best is Nathan Den Hartog. I still don't know what Nathan's doing. 33 seconds up on his best lap time, though. Here we go. Getting towards the end of the lap now for Nathan Den Hartog. Oh, man. Please don't box. Or box. Okay, fine. And I think we're good. Indeed we are. Right then, through to Q2 is everyone, because that's how this works. Everyone's through. Fastest time was a 53.8 from Lawrence Shalvish. Slowest was a 4-minute 55 from Nathan Den Hartog. Yeah, I mean, literally nothing to talk about. It's pointless trying to draw anything from that, because half the drivers didn't push. and half of them that did push were pushing on like wets or intermediates. Here's where the fun starts. Do we want tyre, or do we want the gap to gap to leader or gap to fastest lap? We'll change it up. We'll do. And for once, it's not going to be Tom Gitchberts that's out first. It's a rarity. It's going to be Alexander Karstoff in the Ferrari. On the medium tyres. Which is a good decision if you've got the pace to be in the top 10. If you've got the pace to be in the top 10, medium tyres will work well for you. Because you can do, theoretically, a one-stop from mediums to hards. You're boxing around lap... It's a 31-lap race, so you'd be boxing around lap 12. You'd have about, 55% wear on the mediums, if you boxed around lap 12. And then you'd have to run the hards to the end to be at just about 50% tyre wear. Or you could box lap 11. Your hards would be slightly more worn at the end. For the undercut, possibly. Which works here, because it's a street circuit. So when you lose grip, you lose grip. So Alexander Karstoff is going to be first to get going on a lap. I think behind him is that Alexi Cavero that's looking to get going behind him? Or is it Tom? It is Tom Gitchberts. It's the second man out the pits. Well, no, I don't think he was. But he's ended up being second on track. Let's see what the pace difference is like between Karstoff and Tom on these, medium compared to soft. It'll be interesting to see. The mediums theoretically will be better on a second lap, or even a third sometimes for mediums, especially around street circuits where you really need to get the really need to get the. Oh hello, someone's had a spin. Ludwig Beresford, I think. Oh no, it looks like he's okay. Maybe. Who's that in front of him that's boxing? Who's that boxed? Theodore Stonewood came straight in. Maybe he wants the mediums rather than the softs. Here we go, Alexander Karstoff coming through Sector 2 now. His Sector 2 is a 104.627. Tom's is a 104.231. So currently about 4 tenths between the two tyres, which is not a lot. Normally you'd be looking at about 7 tenths between compounds, as Alexander Karstoff has invalidated his lap. So the first lap time up on the board will be that of Tom Gitchberts. And here we go. Swooping into the final turn. 6th gear, going into 7th. He doesn't invalidate, and it's a 37.0. Although, realistically, I think he should have invalidated there, and I was right. Theodore Stonewood is going onto the mediums. Sam Zabadami in the Alfa Romeo goes 7 tenths slower. And does... Oh, crap, my bad. And does a 37.8. We've also had Nathan Den Hartog do a 36.3 on the soft tyres in that Aston Martin Cognizant Aramco Formula 1 car. And then we've had Armin Schlomer do a 37.5 in the Alpine. Who was that? Ludwig Beresford, a 36.999. Very nearly a perfect 37. As now Lawrence Shelwish does a 36.557 on mediums. Very good time from him. Maiden Brown does a 38.121. Jack Brassington to the line. It's going to be good. It's a 36.792. 2/10 off of Lawrence Shelvish's pace on these medium tyres. Lawrence Shelvish could theoretically wrap up the title here. Iitu Koskinen on softs with a 36.596. So Lawrence Shelvish at the moment is as I was saying, is as Alexander Karstoff is validated again. So at the moment, Lawrence Shelvish 18 points behind Axel Kolstrom in the standings. As you will see, I expect some of the sharper and more regular viewers of the channel will have noticed. Unfortunately, I haven't got a Twitch tab open, so I can't see if you guys are saying this in chat. But Axel Kolstrom is not here and won't be attending for the last 2 races of this season, which is obviously this week and I believe next week, or maybe the week after that. I can't remember exactly. But he won't be attending the last 2 races. So in the next 2 races, I believe this one and the next one, all that Lawrence Shelvish needs to do is score 19 points. Tom Gitchbert's now on a 37.039. Was there someone else that put in a time? Ludwig Beresford, I talked about him. Alexi Cavero, 37.032. Everyone's invalidated. Theodore Stonewood on the mediums going for a run. Let's have a look. Watch this lap as it all hopefully comes together for him. Oh, actually, we'll jump on board with Alexander Karstoff because he's going to be finishing his lap first. A 104.6, I think that was through the middle sector. Through the final few corners now for Alexander Karstoff. Here we go. Chucks it into the final turn. And it's a 37.3 for Alexander Karstoff, just inside the top 10. He'll need a little bit more time than that, I would expect, with drivers like Theodore Stonewood, who's invalidated. But Cameron Wynne behind could be an issue. Here he comes now in the McLaren, that beautiful papaya and dark blue car. Stan on a lap at the moment. I believe he is the only driver currently on an actual flying lap. Is Alexi Cavero on a flying lap? Oh, Alexi Cavero just went better. So it's a 36.971 from Alexi Cavero. Ludwig Beresford is on an in lap. Karstoff is on a flying lap, but is 8 seconds down, so he's not really on a flying lap. I expect he'll be boxing again shortly. Armin Schleimer now coming out on the medium tyres, brand new. Hoping to be able to go faster on those. Stan now coming towards the end of the lap in the Haas. $37.9 for Stan. 9.12. Not ideal. Yellow flag. Who's that for? Was it Alexi Cavero, I think, might have had a little spin there. Here we go. Theodore Stonewood. Purple through the middle sector. He is really going for it on these medium tyres. He's not got lots of fuel left, though. So he's going to have to hope that this lap is good enough to see him through. Which it should be. It's going to be quick from Theodore Stonewood. 37.0. 37.056. Not overwhelmingly quick from Theodore Stonewood. Seeing that we've seen him running with the front guys, Lawrence Shelvish, Jack Brassington, and Axel Kolstrom, who obviously, as I've said, isn't here. But seeing that we've seen him running with those guys before, I would expect his pace, even on the mediums, to be closer to them. And it just doesn't look like it is. We'll wait and see now as Cameron Wynne starts his first flying lap of the session. Cameron Wynne doing very nicely here. Hitting the apexes like you want to. Carrying the speed through the corners. It looks like it's going to be a pretty decent lap time. Obviously, it all depends on that third and final sector, which can be the make or break. .103.940 from Cameron Wynne. Very fast through the middle sector there. Here we go, through the final sector now for Cameron Wynne. Will he be able to get through to Q2? We will have to wait and see. But for now, it's looking relatively likely. It will mean that he has to start on softs, though. And it's 5th for Cameron Wynne, a 36.8, and 5/10 off the leading pace. Not really what I was expecting from Cameron Wynne. With that purple middle sector, I would have expected him to be close to the front, maybe within 2 or even 3/10 of Natan's time on those softs. Not 5/10 back like he currently is. So not ideal for Cameron Wynne in the McLaren. Yeah, so not ideal for the McLaren driver at all there of Cameron Wynne. Although obviously 5th with a 36.8 should be okay to get him through. We've got yellow flags everywhere. Jack Brassington, I think he's on a flying lap. He's not gaining any time though. He was 9,000ths down. He doesn't go for another push lap. I expect he'll cool off and he'll go again the lap after this. Right at the death. Yeah, right at the death. Alexander Karstoff putting on new softs in the hope that he'll be able to get into that ever-precious Q3. Ludwig Beresford 2/10 up, which would put him down already to it was like 0.271, right? So that would put him down to a 7. That would put him 4th currently, if he found that much time. Although I expect he'll be finding more. Down the back straight we go. Lawrence Shelvish retiring. He knows he's got the time in the bag. Only now less than 2/10 found for Ludwig Beresford. Ichi Koskinen retiring. He thinks he's got enough time in the bag as well. Which, looking at the field spread at the moment, I would expect he will have. Here we go. Ludwig Beresford through the final few chains of corners. Right, left, get close to that wall. Left again, chuck it in 6th gear. Hope that the car holds. And it's a 36.732. Nearly 3/10 found. Puts him into P4. That'll be perfect. Jack Brassington into the pits. He doesn't feel that he needs to do another lap. He thinks he's got enough in it for now. Alexander Karstoff coming to the line. 2/10 found. To the line, it's going to be a 37.182. Only a 10th and a bit found on that final lap. Aidan Brown retiring from the session. I don't know if that is from a crash or otherwise. No, in the in the pit lane, I believe. Sam Zabadami taking his front wing off, so he's not going to get into Q3, I don't expect. Stan will need to find 8 tenths to get through to Q3. We will wait and see, but that is a lot of time to find. This is the lap that matters, as this will decide who goes out and who stays in. Here we go. To the line for Stan, and it's a 37.765. Armin Schlomer has already finished his lap, which puts Alexander Karstoff just into that ever-precious Q3 session. However, he will have to start on those soft tyres, and everyone below him, I would expect, will be starting on the mediums. In fact, Alexander Karstoff didn't have to do his lap on the softs. He could have stayed on the mediums. He had the time. His first medium run was enough. So, in the top 10, there will only be 2 drivers that can start on the medium tyres. Jack Brassington and Lawrence Shelvish, so they by far have the better strategy. By a long way, have the better strategy. We're just waiting on, I believe, Ludwig Beresford, who's coming into the pits. Why not just cross the line? It really annoys me when people do this. Just cross the line. He retires from the session. Now we're waiting on Alexi Cavero, who has retired. Wonderful. So, through to Q3, we have Tom Gitchberts, Nathan Den Hartog, Alexi Cavero, Lawrence Shalvish, Eetu Koskinen, Ludwig Beresford, Jack Brassington, Cameron Wynne, Theodore Stone, and Alexander Karstoff in the Ferrari. Alexander Karstoff, interestingly enough, has been using a pad for the last few weeks as his wheel has broken. Thankfully, he's got that back today, and you can tell so as he is into Q3 for the first time in the last few rounds. Out in Q2 is Armin Schlomer, Aidan Brown, Stan, and Sam Zabadami. Not ideal for those guys, however, they will get the free choice of tyre, so should be able to do the alternate strategy from mediums to hards, which should theoretically be better than the 2-stop for the soft drivers, which would be soft, medium, medium. Here we go then. Coming into Q3, the all-important session. Everyone, obviously, on soft tyres. And everyone will be wanting to get out as soon as possible. It is going to be Tom Gitchberts out the pits first, closely followed by, I believe that's Theodore Stonewood. And we've also got a Red Bull coming out on track very early on. But it is indeed Tom Gitchberts, then Eetu Koskinen and... No, not Eetu Koskinen. Oh, it's the Aston Martin, in fact, of Natan. Then Theodore Stonewood. Then behind them we have... Not the Ferrari, it's the Red Bull of Jack Brassington. Then the Ferrari of Alexander Karstoff. Then behind them we have Alexi Cavero, I believe. Then the other Aston Martin of Lawrence Shalvish, who just isn't caring there for the pit exit. Cameron Wynne in the McLaren, and I believe that'll be Ludwig Beresford behind him. So the only driver still in the pits is Eetu Koskinen, but here he is now, he's coming out now. I think he knows that all of these guys are going to slow down in Sector 3, so what he's actually doing is letting them just kind of get away, do their own thing. Although these guys are pushing it pretty hard for an outlap. So as per usual, Tom Gitchberts is going to be the first person to cross the line to start their flying lap. He does like to be the first person out of the pits. I don't know whether it's a superstition thing or whether He just likes to be able to get a lap in early to chalk up to experience, you know. But we will wait and see now. Burning off some fuel at the start there, before the start of the flying lap. 5th into 6th and 7th before the line. Tom Gitchberts will follow on board with this lap unless he invalidates. Braking late into turn 1. Take the inside curb exactly like you want to. Braking whilst you're still in turn 2 for that first little complex. That little kind of W complex up there. Little bit of a slide there coming out of 4. But other than that, pretty good. Turn 5 there down the back straight. Well, which isn't straight, but you know, whatever. Into turn 6, now turn 7 of the hairpin. Brake late down into 2nd gear normally, however he's gone for 1st, which I think aided in a bit of oversteer there. Now we're coming into turn 9, then 10, and 11. Then we got 13 and 14 link up, 14 being this hairpin, very difficult to brake for, but he's got that pretty much bang on. And Nathan and Hartog is possibly just within the toe here. So it's a 103.5 from Nathan and Hartog. Tom Gitchberts did a 103.697. I can't remember what I said Nathan's was. 103.539. So Nathan and Hartog just about going faster than Tom Gitchberts at the moment. Not by loads, by about just over a 10th. Or just under a 10th, even. To the line now, Tom Gitchberts is going to be a 36.2. Nathan then Hartog does a 35.8. Next to the line is Theodore Stonewood, does a 36.003. Then it's Jack Brassington, who does a 35.5. Very good lap time from him. Then Alexander Karstoff does a 36.459. Next to the line, Lawrence Shalvish. Here we go. It's a 35.537 from Lawrence Shalvish. Very good time from him. Next to the line is going to be Ludwig Beresford. Does a 36.708. Next to the line, Cameron Wynn. He invalidated his lap. It was only a 1 minute 48, so not ideal for him. So next to the line now will be Eetu Koskinen. He's invalidated his lap as well. And Alexi Cavero is only just coming out on an outlap. What happened there? I swear he came out on an outlap earlier. Did he get a wing damage or something and have to box? He might not. Alexi Cavero might be in a bit of bother here. A minute 35. 2 laps is 3 minutes. It's going to be very close if he has enough time to do a flying lap, an in lap, an out lap, and a flying lap. It's going to be close. He should just about fit it in, I think. But it is going to be quite close to see. As Cameron Wynn does a 23.807. Very competitive from Cameron Wynn through Sector 2 there. Is Alexander Karstoff on a second flying lap? No, absolutely not, because it's already been a minute 34. Oh, but it's gone red, so I expect maybe he was. Here we go, Cameron Wynn to the line, looking like it's going to be around a 136, 36.631. Now, Eetu Koskinen coming to the line with red fuel and a red damage symbol. Will he box? No, he is going to do the lap. He's going to have to limp back home. It's going to be a 36.682 for Eetu Koskinen. Obviously, these guys will be able to find time on fresh softs. This isn't their actual pace. As Alexi Cavero now is coming to the end of a lap, 103.742 through the middle sector is a very competitive time. A pretty good time there from Alexi Cavero. Now up through the final sector. Here we go. And it was a 36.574 from Alexi Cavero. Sorry, I completely missed that. I didn't think he'd gone over the line. I thought he was in a different part of the track completely. But yeah, 36.574 from Alexi Cavero. And Jack Brassington already on an outlap. As is Lawrence Shalvish. These guys coming out for outlaps very early. Maybe hoping they'll be able to get a third run in at the death. 1 minute 35, 1 minute 35, 1 minute. Probably won't be able to. In fact, definitely won't be able to. Even Jack Brassington won't be able to do that. But maybe that's what they were hoping, I guess. So for E2 Koskinen, it's going to be a little bit of a tight turnaround. Alexander Karstoff on an outlap now on new softs as well. We've got 5 drivers on outlaps at the moment, namely Lawrence Shalvish. Jack Brassington has started his flying lap already. I mean, he's going for it, huh? And it's invalidated straight away by Jack Brassington. But it would appear that he's pushing even though he's invalidated. You would assume that he would back off and save the tyre to do a second lap. Unless he boxes at the end of this one, puts on a new set, and then does a lap right at the end. Maybe that's his strategy. Lawrence Shalvish is boxing. And retired from the session is Lawrence Shalvish. And Jack Brassington. They're on mediums, it doesn't matter to them. And Nathan Den Hartog. Oh, are we having a lobby restart? Because there's a lot of drivers retiring. Oh, it's raining. Oh, it's raining. Is it? Yeah, it is. That's rain. That is rain falling on the circuit. That is why everyone's retiring. No one's going to improve. Rain is falling on the circuit, and this is going to be your final order. This is going to be your final order, ladies and gentlemen. Rain is falling here in Singapore. So this is going to be our final order for qualifying. Yeah, it is actually raining. I hadn't picked up on that. Because I've got my graphics settings relatively low, because, you know, FPS. But yeah, it's raining. And Alexi Cavero coming out for an outlap, I don't expect knows that. But is about to find out, I would expect. There's no time to be found in these conditions. It won't be worth it. I mean, it's still at the point where you won't be losing loads. But, I mean, you'll be losing time from this, because the track will be greasy. So it's not worth it, I don't think. I mean, it looks like Cameron Wynne and Alexi Cavero are still going to give it a good go. But I don't think it's worth it. Yeah, lock up into turn 3 there. Wobbly on the power. I definitely don't think they're going faster. No, he's a second up. A second down even. On his best time. I mean, these guys might as well just retire. They're not improving. They're not going to improve, no matter what they do. And Alexi Cavero has realised that, and is retiring. But Cameron Wynne is still going, even though it's quite clear that he is not finding any time. as Alexi Cavero retires from the session. And Cameron Wynn is going to come into the pits rather than crossing the finish line. And he retires from the session. So your final order for qualifying here in Singapore is Lawrence Shalvish, Jack Brassington, Nathan Den Hartog, Theodore Stonewood, Tom Gitchberts, Alexander Karstoff, Alexi Cavero, Cameron Wynn, Iitu Koskinen, and Ludwig Beresford. I mean, Lawrence and Jack have by far the best strategy. They're both on the medium tyres at the start. It'll be wonderful for them. These guys down the bottom, 8th, 9th and 10th, will be worried because the guys behind them will gain time on the alternate strategy, and we'll probably end up fighting with the 8th, 9th and 10th at the end, dependent obviously on safety cars, which are not a rarity around tracks like Singapore. With the walls so close to the circuit, it is more than likely that we will see a safety car, if not a virtual safety car. Oh, and it's wet. The race is wet, so that puts the medium tyre running for Lawrence and Jack Brassington out the window. It makes no difference. So now it's going to be who has the best wet setup on, because these guys should have been able to see that it was raining on their dash in the pit lane. Here we go. We are... Whoa. Everything looks a little bit overexposed. That's rather nasty, actually. Whoa, why does everything look so overexposed? Oh, damn. Oh, it's because of all the lights. Yeah. Sorry about this. This is just how it's going to look because of all the street lights, and the game's got really weird mapping for it. Sorry. Right, so we'll keep it as interval for now. We've got Simon Casera, who has joined, and for some reason is in a Red Bull. He should be in a Alpha Tauri. You know what I'm going to do quickly? Whilst these guys are on an outlap, I'm just going to... Whoops! There goes Lawrence Shalvish. Okay, I can't change it because it'll disconnect me from the race. So here we go. We're on the outlap, and so far, it looks like everyone's doing pretty well. Nathan Den Hartog just holding back a little bit. Theodore Stonewood holding back a lot. Clearly wanting those guys to not have the best tyres off at the start. The start is going to be critical here. Minimising wheel spin will be important. I expect there will be a little bit of chaos down into turn 1, especially amongst the pack. Anywhere from 7th or even 6th downwards could be involved in something down at turn 1. So the question is now, who had the best wet setup in quali? Because realistically, drivers will have been able to see that it was going to be a wet race. Here we go, forming up the grid now. Lawrence Shalvish pulling through to the front. Jack Brassington lined up in 2nd. Nathan Den Hartog in 3rd. Theodore Stonewood in 4th. Tom Gitchbert's lining up in 5th. Alexander Karstoff in 6th. Alexei Guevara in 7th. Cameron Wynne in 8th. Eetu Koskinen in 9th. In P10, the final point scoring position for now is Ludwig Beresford, then Armin Schlomer, Aidan Brown, Sam Zabadami, and Simon Casera. Let's jump forwards now for the start. It is 5 lights, and the lights are out, and away we go. A very good start for Jack Brassington. Better than the start that Lawrence Shalvish got. Jack Brassington going to be moving up the inside. Lawrence Shalvish holding it round the outside, however. Great wheel-to-wheel racing from these guys at the moment. Jack Brassington looks like he might just have it, although around the outside, Lawrence Shalvish is better on the power. Indeed he is. Oh, he got a little bit wobbly. And just didn't quite work out for him in the end. Alexander Karstoff losing a position off the start to Alexei Guevara. Cameron Wynne moving up. No, not moving up, actually. Although Ludwig Beresford is looking to make a move on Alexander Karstoff. He doesn't quite get it to work. Armin Schlomer and Eetu Koskinen having a little bit of a scrap. And Armin Schlomer might even make a move on Cameron Wynne here. Maybe a little bit of contact there. Definitely contact with Ludwig Beresford and Alexander Karstoff, who I expect may have some light wing damage from that contact with the wall. Not ideal, but we will wait and see. Eetu Koskinen in 13th. Didn't get out of Q2. So that would explain that. And looks like he has got wing damage. Indeed he has. So Eetu Koskinen going to have to box at the end of lap 1. It looks like there are a few drivers who might have wing damage. No, everything looks okay for now. Moving up the field, the front 4 very close, then a drop-off to Tom Gitchbert's, and then everyone down from P5. No, everyone's now back within a second of each other. So hopefully, should be a good race with all of these guys so close to each other. Was that someone going straight on? Indeed it was. Alexei Guevara going straight on at the chicane. Just didn't brake. Or at least not in time. Cameron Wynne getting past Alexander Karstoff. And lots of people getting past Alexander Karstoff. Has Alexander Karstoff got some damage of some sort? Doesn't look like it. But people are catching on him a lot through the corners. It doesn't look like he's particularly confident on the power. And we've got a virtual safety car. Ideal for all of these 3 who have had to box for new intermediates and a new front wing. And Jack Brassington is getting close to having that second advantage that he wants. Aidan Brown held in the pits for a long time there. He has got inters on. I didn't think he did there. For a second it looked like he had slicks on, and I was thinking, what are you doing? Because it is definitely still raining here in Singapore. And there's a few drivers under AI here, which as you know is not allowed. Armin Schlomer in the wall under virtual safety car. Contact with Alexander Karstoff, I believe. Yeah, that's exactly the angle that I wanted, thanks. I think there was a little bit of contact. I think, in fact, correct me. I think there was definitely contact with Alexander Karstoff there, which is what caused Armin Schlomer to go round. So we'll wait and see. We got a yellow flag in Sector 2, however we are back under green flag racing, and Lawrence Shalvish has timed the getaway, has perfectly kept in touch with Jack Brassington, which is exactly what he would have wanted to do. However, that gap is widening a little bit. Lawrence Shalvish right now could wrap up the championship from this position. He'd need fastest lap. and he'd need Nathan Den Hartog to act as a little bit of a rear gunner for him, is what he's going to need for now. Let's move back down the field to what looks like a little three-way fight emerging here for P6 between Alexei Cavero, Ludwig Beresford, and Cameron Wynne. A little bit of a mistake from Alexei there. Just went a little bit wide at the hairpin. Although Alexei is starting to pull away a little bit from Ludwig Beresford. In fact, Alexei has completely pulled away from Ludwig Beresford. So it's all going to be about Cameron Wynne, whether he can get past Ludwig Beresford and then move on to Alexei Cavero. As now there are larger gaps opening up all over the field. A second between the top two, and a second between second and third as well. So yeah, lots of larger gaps opening up here, which I'm not particularly surprised by. 154.8 from Jack Brassington. Very good lap from him. Lawrence Shalvish can't beat it, which means that as things stand at the moment, we would have to wait until next week to find out who wins the title. As things stand, Axel Kolstrom and Lawrence Shalvish would go in tied on points. And as long as Lawrence finishes in the points, he'll get it next week if it ends like this week. But he's gone purple in the first sector as Lawrence Shalvish. He knows what he needs to do to get this championship, but Jack Brassington knows what he needs to do to make sure that he doesn't. Armin Schlomer getting close to the back of Simon Casera. Not anymore. Lots of understeer there for Armin Schlomer. Everything looks okay on the front wing, so I don't know why that is. Yeah, so unfortunately it's going to be a relatively slow race, this one I expect. We've got 31 laps, and unfortunately it's not going to dry out, I don't believe. So it's just going to be a case of waiting to see if anyone's going to be brave enough to have the pace to make a move. If Jack Brassington, Lawrence Shalvish now has the fastest lap, which, as of this moment, would make him champion for Season 4. Armin Schlomer picking up a 3-second time penalty for multiple warnings, disobeying track limits there from the Alpine driver. He is now closing back in again on Simon Casera. Although not by loads. He is closing in a little bit, but it really isn't by a lot. And he's dropping back off again now. It's kind of to and fro with these guys. Cameron Wynne is getting close-ish to Ludwig Beresford. Just kind of keeping that gap. It's about 1 second between all of these guys. Apart from Cameron, who is within a second of Ludwig Beresford. The gap at the front extending again, closing again, extending again. It's how it's going to be as each driver is stronger through different corners. Alexei Cavero now getting closer to Tom Gitschberts. the gap at the front staying pretty stable. It tends to be anywhere from about 7/10 to a second at the moment is where it's kind of sitting. Fastest lap from Theodore Stonewood. Yeah, I'm not going. Fastest lap from Theodore Stonewood, I believe it was a 54.4 exactly. Down the hill now. Yeah, right. Getting close-ish to Nathan Den Hartog. Not breathing down his neck yet, but within a second. Obviously, with DRS, this would be a relatively simple maneuver. But seeing as we're in intermediate conditions, and I don't believe it has yet stopped raining, I'll jump forwards to someone. No, yeah, it is still raining. It's not raining loads, though. Whether we will see a dry track at the end of this race is your guess as good as mine. Theodore Stonewood now getting within 5/10 of Nathan Den Hartog. Here we go. Theodore Stonewood looking for that final podium position. He's got a lot of VRS left. Only a little bit more than Nathan, though. Nathan also doing a good job of harvesting the ERS. Fuel obviously won't be an issue for drivers. You use very, very little fuel in the wet conditions. So I don't expect anyone will be having issues with that. And it looks like the reason that Sam Zabadami is so far behind is because he had to make a second pit stop, which I missed. Jack Brassington does a 54.426 to go fastest. And opens up that gap at the front. However, it looks like he may have made a mistake there, as Lawrence Shelvish gains a little bit of time. Just a little bit, but a little bit can be enough, you know. In the long term, that 10th could make a difference. We will wait and see. As Theodore Stonewood losing all of that time to Nathan Den Hartog again. Cameron Wynne still close to the back of Ludwig Beresford. Alexi Cavero is closer to the back of Tom Gitchbert. Alexi Cavero within that 5/10 barrier there. Well, flirting around with the 5/10 barrier at the moment. Yellow flag in Sector 2. Simon Casera. That's the whole front wing gone. I don't think there was anyone close to him, so I think that's been a solo spin from Simon Casera. I believe that'll be... It's a virtual safety car. It is indeed a virtual safety car. Now, I'm trying really hard to work out what's going on here. Trying to work out if it is still raining. I think, but like not loads. Well, let's fast forward to someone who has a gap, shall we? So yeah, it's still raining, but it's looking drier, I think. As Stangus drive through penalty as we go green again for speeding under the safety car. Theodore Stonewood, not the best place for it to finish for him. Halfway down the straight means that he won't have gotten any advantage off the end of that safety car. However, Alexander Karstoff has closed right up to the back of this group of Cameron Wynne, Alexi Cavero, and various others. This is now turning into an even larger scrap for this 5th place it's now going to be. We've got 5 cars. Tom Gitchbert, Alexi Cavero, Ludwig Beresford, Cameron Wynne, and Alexander Karstoff all kind of just hanging on to this train. Ludwig Beresford now getting very close to Alexi Cavero. Aiden Brown, I was about to say overtaking Simon Casera, but Simon Casera is in the pits and for some reason has gone on to hards, which is never going to work. But, you know, whatever. Here we go. These guys are all pretty close to each other now. The gap at the front has shrunk again. Back down to its kind of original 8/10. However, it fluctuates immensely, as in these wet conditions, you never really know what the oversteer is going to be like, you know, etc, etc. So it will fluctuate quite a lot in these wet conditions. But all of these drivers still within a second of each other. Cameron Wynn dropping off the back of Ludwig Beresford a little bit. Not ideal. He needs to keep with these guys. Alexi Cavero has an issue through the chicane. So that's dropped. Jack Brassington is in the pits for hards. Clearly he thinks that that it's the right time to switch on to dry tyres. It doesn't look like it's raining anymore. But I don't know if that's the right decision from him. It's definitely a little bit slidey. No, I'd say this may well be a mistake from Jack Brassington, which could well hand the championship on a platter to Lawrence Shelvish in the Aston Martin, who is leading this race by now quite some considerable time. Theodore Stone, we're closing in on the back of Nathan Den Hartog again. Simon Casera spinning again. Retains some of his front wing. He's lost a whole end plate and now the whole thing. So that's going to be boxing again for Simon Casera. All of these drivers getting close to each other again now. Alexi Cavero, Ludwig Beresford, Cameron Wynn and Alexander Karstoff. All very close to each other as of right now. And Ludwig Beresford has got a 3... I'm assuming that's a 3-second penalty, which I completely missed. Let's have a look. It is 3 seconds, so that would put Cameron Wynn into 6th and Alexander Karstoff into 7th, as now Ludwig Beresford box for Ludwig Beresford. Let's see what tyres he puts on, because I think that Jack Brassington's hards are not working for him. No, he's losing all sorts of time. Is Jack Brassington. I reckon he's going to have to box again this lap for new inters, as it's hard tyres as well for Ludwig Beresford. But they're losing all sorts of time. Let's look at the interval to the leader. Jack Brassington is 43 seconds behind the leader. I think he thought that it was going to dry out much earlier than it has, as Stan gets past Jack Brassington. Ludwig Beresford comes out ahead of Jack Brassington, even though Jack Brassington was far, far behind before this. Armin Schlomer now getting passed by Jack Brassington. However, as Ludwig Beresford... Let's try and get an onboard from Jack, shall we? Here we go. So Ludwig Beresford and Jack Brassington both on the hard tyre. This is not the right decision. They aren't on the right compound at all. It's still very, very wet out here, and Jack Brassington has essentially handed the championship to Nathan Den Hartog on a platter at this point. I'm just going to switch it back to interval rather than here we go. Who else got the fastest lap? Still Jack Brassington with that 54.426. As Jack Brassington goes straight on there. Not ideal, as now all of those guys who were really close to each other earlier, all of those gaps have expanded back out again. Yellow flag in Sector 2 and Sector 3. Is that Jack Brassington? No, it's not. It's Simon Casera, who's retired from the session. He is DNF'd and is currently glitching in and out of the wall. Not ideal. There's Simon Casera. He's retired on track, so he's not actually DNF'd. He's retired on track, which isn't exactly how it works, but whatever. Nathan and Hartog closing in a little bit on Lawrence Shelvish. Has Lawrence Shelvish got a little bit of damage, or is he just playing it cool? He knows he doesn't need to push. Jack Brassington getting past E2 Koskinen. No, E2 Koskinen getting past Jack Brassington, and Jack Brassington passing E2 Koskinen again. E2 Koskinen by far has more grip. I mean, look at this, just sailing up the inside of Jack Brassington on a bit of a straight. Yellow flag in Sector 3. That's Jack Brassington. Jack Brassington has gone round. Jack Brassington has gone around on those hard tyres and has taken himself basically out of contention for this race, and has put Lawrence Shelvish in the lead of this championship. So, as it is, if Axel Kolstrom doesn't attend next week, this will be the championship for Lawrence Shelvish. However, if Axel Kolstrom suddenly is able to attend next week, we're going to be in a situation where if Axel Kolstrom wins and Lawrence Shelvish comes second, they'll tie, but Axel has more wins, so I think Axel Kolstrom overall would win the championship. We will have to wait and see for next week to see who comes out on top in this particular battle. Theodore Stonewood dropping off a little bit now from Nathan Den Hartog. The tyres are dropping away now. Obviously, that's pretty much expected to happen at this point. These tyres are not made to last forever. No tyres ever are. Stan getting a 3-second penalty there. Oh, very wobbly for Theodore Stonewood. He just keeps a hold of it. But that's lost him a lot of time to Nathan Den Hartog now. And now Nathan Den Hartog will be able to drive without having the pressure of Theodore Stonewood directly behind, as he's now 1.5 seconds away. Not ideal for Theodore Stonewood. He didn't need that slide. However, his place on the podium is pretty much consolidated. Tom Gitchberts is in fourth, is 11 seconds behind. And Jack Brassington obviously has taken himself out of the running for a podium in any way, shape or form. The track is starting to look a little drier, I think. I can't really tell. I think... No, yeah, the track is definitely drying out. Maybe? I don't know. It's so difficult with the graphic settings I use to work out if it's drying or not. Obviously, as per normal in these wet conditions, if the changeover point does happen, it will be signalled by the DRS being turned on. So ideally, what you want to do is you want to box the same lap that the DRS activated call is made, because that's when it's dry enough for DRS to be safely used. Because obviously in the wet conditions, if you open your DRS, you're very likely to lose a whole lot of traction on the rear and go for a little spin, which would not be ideal. Theodore Stonewood closing back in a little bit on Nathan Den Hartog here. not by a lot. Although, a little bit wobbly on the exit for Theodore Stonewood, but he is closing back in on Nathan. I reckon he's got the pace, but Nathan has the ERS, which overall will be more beneficial. And Lawrence Shelvish is pulling away from these guys. Not going to be long before Lawrence Shelvish is lapping poor old Jack Brassington, who is lapping in the 2-minute 11s. Lawrence Shelvish catching up to Jack Brassington at quite a rate of knots, I would expect. Probably by 20 seconds or so a lap. Or 15 seconds or so a lap, I guess. So, we'll be lapping Jack Brassington. Yeah, there he is. The Red Bull of Jack Brassington, stuck on those hard tyres. I don't know if he thought it was time for the crossover, or if he tried to go on the inters and accidentally hit the hards. But yeah, Jack Brassington ghosted and lapped by the leader of this race, and in this situation, the leader of the championship, Lawrence Shelvish, in the Aston Martin. As Alexander Karstoff pits for mediums. Alexander Karstoff thinking it's dry enough for the medium tyre to get to work. I don't expect it will be, and he's already gone round and he's reset to track. And unfortunately, I highly doubt those medium tyres are going to do the job for Alexander Karstoff. Theodore Stonewood and Nathan Den Hartog still, they're the only guys who are really close together, apart from Alexi Cavero, who's closing back in on Tom Gitchberts. But Alexander Karstoff, let's just keep a little bit of an eye on him. Losing a lot of time, losing a lot of time, losing a lot of time. Yeah. And being passed by Aidan Brown is Alexander Karstoff. I don't know why you'd go on to the dry compound of tyres. It's clearly not dry. I can see that, and I run the lowest quality settings of literally anyone here. And Alexander Karstoff really, really needed a points finish here. I don't know why he's made the call to go onto the medium tyre. It's clearly not dry. Lawrence Shelvish just running away with it at the moment. That gap up to nearly 5 seconds now to Nathan Den Hartog. He is just absolutely cruising away with this race. After Jack Brassington's unfortunate mistake, or I would assume a mistake anyway, to change to the hard tyre. And Jack Brassington getting lapped by 4th and 5th place, who are very close together now. Alexi Cavero closing right up to the back of Tom Gitchberts, deep at the bottom of the back straight there. Going to have lost Alexi Cavero a little bit of time. Tom has a lot of VRS. Alexi Cavero does not. Fastest lap now from Lawrence Shelvish to take his total points for this race to 26 at the moment. And on 15 lap old inters, that means it's either A, getting dry, or B, Lawrence Shelvish is an absolute alien. Seeing that these guys are lapping a second slower than their best times, for Lawrence Shelvish to do a lap that's two and a bit tenths faster than his best time is quite impressive. Very impressive, in fact. Unfortunately, I expect the most exciting thing that could happen now is if someone were to crash. Bring out a safety car, that'd spice things up a bit. Everyone would box. Jack Brassington would be able to box back onto Inters and try and work his way through the pack. Alexander Karstoff would be able to correct his mistake of boxing. Which clearly it was a mistake, because look at that. The lap times are just nowhere. I don't know why you'd box for dry tyres. Alexi Cavero dropping back again now from Tom Gitchberts. Theodore Stonewood closing in a little bit on Nathan Den Hartog. However, annoyingly in the wet. Singapore is one of those tracks where and now it's a 53.8 from Lawrence Shelvish. Incredible lap times. Another 0.3 faster than his previous best. Lawrence Shelvish absolutely pushing the boat out here. Which means that either the track is drying up, like significantly drying up, which doesn't look like it's doing at the moment. Either the track is significantly drying up, which I'd assume it's not, seeing that all the dry tyre runners are still losing a lot of time. Or, as I've said before, Lawrence Shelvish is just an alien who, for some reason, has the driving skills of an actual F1 driver. Here we go, Lawrence Shelvish coming round to lap Alexander Karstoff, who's now down into P12. And before long, Sam Zabadami in P11 will be lapped as well. It won't be long before these guys are thinking about boxing and switching for new Inters. In fact, that may be why Lawrence Shelvish has been pushing so much. Theodore Stonewood, oh, very close, very close, very close. Nearly contact there with Nathan Den Hartog. I don't think it quite was. Let's stick on board though. He's not going to be close enough to make the move down here. However, Theodore Stonewood can now smell that second place of Nathan Den Hartog. Here we go. Gap is about 0.5 now. Very, very little going on at the moment. As Alexander Karstoff has pit again and has put on new intermediate tyres. Yeah. Looks like it may have been a front wing replacement as well for Alexander Karstoff. Let's check in the race director, shall we? That was, yeah, front wing both times for Alexander Karstoff. Theodore Stonewood still behind Nathan Den Hartog, even though I think it's quite clear that he's got the pace advantage at this point. Jack Brassington gets a 3-second time penalty for multiple warnings. Nathan Den Hartog gone very wide at the hairpin. Theodore Stonewood couldn't get on the power early enough. Armin Schlomer on mediums in the pits after a front wing repair. It's been proven, Armin, that is not going to work for you. It's just not. It just isn't. The track isn't dry. As you will quite quickly find out when you spin straight away. There we go. Nearly spun. 3/10 now between Nathan Den Hartog and Theodore Stonewood. Theodore Stonewood can really smell. And Nathan Den Hartog boxes. Theodore Stonewood going to stay out. Try and use that extra pace to possibly overcut Nathan Den Hartog, who might be held up after Lawrence Shalvish boxes as well. Let's see. Just a little bit of a delay, and it's mediums for both of the Aston Martin drivers. Even though the medium drivers are still losing time. So clearly, the Inters are at the end of their reign, and it's not quite the switchover point yet. So the guys who are staying out now on intermediate tyres are going to be gaining a whole load of time. Race control says DRS is enabled. So now it's time for the dry tyres, and Alexander Karstoff hasn't even finished a whole lap. Well, he's done 1 lap on his inters. He should have just stayed out on the mediums, would have worked better. Oh well. But here we go. All of these guys who are struggling on mediums, it's about to turn into good fortune for them. Let's see as, yeah, Lawrence Shalvish gaining and gaining and gaining on Theodore Stonewood. Theodore Stonewood only 1/10.5 up. It's got a little red repair thing, although I expect that just means that they don't like how hard he's pushing the car. Here we go. Theodore Stonewood through the final... Well, no, not the final chicane, that's a lie. There's another, like, 3. Here we go. 1. Well, there's 2, yeah. 1 there. Through the final chicane of the lap. And he will box at the end of this lap. Indeed he does. It's going to be most likely medium tyres for everyone until the end now. So let's have a look. Where will he come out? It's 25 seconds lost here, I think. So he may well come out ahead of Nathan Den Hartog because of that little pause on the pit stop. So Nathan Den Hartog could have lost P2 here. Let's watch. Nathan Den Hartog going to be coming out of the final corner now. Lawrence Shalvish gets a 3-second time penalty for multiple warnings. Will that turn this race on its head? I highly doubt it. Nathan Den Hartog looking to go around the outside of Theodore Stonewood. Just about gets it, does Nathan Den Hartog. By the skin of his teeth. Nathan Den Hartog holds on to that P2 position. Ludwig Beresford getting a 3-second time penalty for multiple warnings. However, he's currently last, so that does not make a difference. And Alexander Karstoff still hasn't boxed, even though it's time for dry tyres. Okay. Stan in the pits is not going to lose any positions because it's 34 seconds to the car behind him, so he'll be fine. Hopefully, now that it's dry, we will see these gaps moving around a little bit more. Drivers getting closer and further away from each other. Maybe some actual on-track overtakes, because we haven't actually had many of those so far. Armin Schlomer sets a new fastest lap of a 1:49.589 in the Alpine. I expect that'll go down again once these guys are crossing the line. We'll wait and see, but I expect that fastest lap record will be broken. Lawrence Shalvish now coming through the final corner of the lap. It's going to be a 46, I would expect. 45.975 for the fastest lap of the race. It didn't pop up, but I believe that was the fastest lap of the race. 45.951 for Nathan Den Hartog to go fastest. Theodore Stonewood not really able to keep pace now with Nathan Den Hartog. As Alexi Guevara goes fastest with a 45.475. All of these guys pushing very, very hard as we come through now. Sam Zabadami really needs to stop messing around with these guys. That ghost can be very off-putting, and Sam Zabadami is just continuing to drive like normal, which will not be helping Nathan or Theodore Stonewood. Armin Schlomer goes faster again with a 45.431. These times are going to continue to tumble as we keep going. Aidan Brown, 44.9. That's what I'm talking about. Who's next to the line? It's going to be Lawrence Shelvish. Here we go. Lawrence Shelvish really needs to get that fastest lap under his belt. And it is a 42.1 from Lawrence Shelvish. Very, very fast. Yellow flag back there. That is... Was that Alex? Yeah, who was it? Ah, you. Armin Schlomer going around. Dropping a lot of time to Eetu Koskinen behind. And... Oh, no front wing. No front wing for Armin Schlomer. So that'll be a lost position, a few lost positions. Tom Gitchbert. Oh, I forgot the DRS was enabled. Here we go. Here we go. Theodore Stonewood. Cameron Wynn goes faster with a 41.7, I believe that was. Theodore Stonewood looking up the inside of Nathan Den Hartog. Doesn't quite work. However, he will get DRS down the back straight. So that will help him immensely. As Armin Schlomer is still limping it back to the pit. Here we go. Down the back straight. DRS wide open. Not using any ERS. And doesn't go past. That's an interesting strategy. Maybe Theodore is thinking that the best place to overtake would be the second straight. Into that difficult left-hander hairpin kind of combo. Because then he's got kind of like half a lap to pull away. Lawrence Shelvish does a 40.112 to go faster again and claim back that fastest lap. Armin Schlomer boxing to go on to the soft tyre. He'll be quick on that set of soft. Could be a threat to the lap times that these guys have been doing. As Theodore Stonewood has dropped a lot of time there. Cameron Wynn, however, has not. Alexi Guevara jumped Tom Gitchbert at some point. Was that in the pits? Probably so. I missed that. Yeah, it would have been. He boxed a lap earlier than Tom Gitchbert did. And found 4 seconds in that. Here we go. Cameron Wynn goes to the outside of Tom Gitchbert's. Closes him off a little bit on the apex, but you ride that curb anyway, so it's kind of fair game. Brilliant defensive driving from Cameron Wynn. After making that move, he knew where he'd be vulnerable and covered it off. Really great work from him. Theodore Stonewood now, again, closing in on Nathan Den Hartog, who has a little bit of a wiggle out of that corner there. Dipped a wheel too heavily through the inside of the curbing there. And got rather sideways for a second. Lawrence Shelvish does a 38.6 to keep a hold of that fastest lap. Here we go. Theodore Stonewood now with a DRS open. Will he get past Nathan Den Hartog this time? We will wait and see. He is 4 tenths back. 3 tenths back. Yellow flag in sector 2. That is... Who is that? Oh, Ludwig Beresford. Okay, it doesn't matter. Theodore Stonewood going for the move up the inside of Nathan Den Hartog. Doesn't quite carry it off. Nearly did though. Theodore Stonewood all over that rear diffuser of the Aston Martin of Nathan in front of him. We are going to have to wait, however, for the overtake. Yellow flags in Sector 3. That is, I believe, Ludwig Beresford again. No, it's Tom Gitchbert's. Tom Gitchbert's boxed for softs and has lost positions. Oh well, we'll just move on from there. Ludwig Beresford retiring from the session on track. Not ideal. Yeah, I'm assuming he's just like stopped at the... Jesus! That is like dangerously in the middle of the road. Let's hope that car despawns sooner rather than later. There we go. Thank God that car despawned, because that was just in the one of the worst places to lose a wheel and end up in the middle of the track. That was looking very, very nasty for a while there. Theodore Stonewood looking like he might just be happy to actually sit in the DRS of Nathan Den Hartog. Use it to kind of pull him along, you know. Tom Gitchberts gets past Stan on those soft tyres. Bit of an unconventional place to make the move, but he's made it stick, made it work. Here we go, Theodore Stonewood getting close again. For him to be able to make the move down that second straight, he'll need to be within about, what, 4/10, I think? Is the golden number. So he needs to stick with Nathan now through the whole of the last sector of this lap. That gap is at 5/10 now. Coming through the final corner, it's going to be DRS. He had to lift off to Theodore Stonewood. That may well have gotten rid of his chances. No, he's back within that 3/10 again. Here we go. Theodore Stonewood will be looking for the move to pull off up the inside, I expect, down this second straight. Although he might not actually be close enough. No, he's not going to be. Lost too much time being all over the place. Although, actually, here we go. He is going to be close enough. He does go for the move up the inside of Nathan Den Hartog. Oh, shunts him off on the exit. Theodore Stonewood giving that position back. He may have front wing damage. I don't think he does. Lets Nathan Den Hartog hold the position. He knew that he ran in too deep there. Let Nathan keep the position. Right thing to do there from Theodore. Here we go. He's very close down this back straight, though. Is he going to go for the move here? He is. Nathan brakes later. Nathan brakes too late. Here we go. This is going to be some intense racing now between these two. I am keeping my eye on the gaps elsewhere, but for now we're just going to follow along with this battle for P2. Armin Schleimer gets a 3-second time penalty. Not that that's making a difference to anyone's race. Here we go. Theodore Stonewood closing back in on Nathan Den Hartog. He needs to stick with him through this first set of corners. Nathan Den Hartog very wobbly on exit. That's going to be just the invite that Theodore Stonewood was looking for. Down the back straight, it's 3/10. Now it's 2. Goes to the inside. Jack Brassetti gets a 3-second penalty for multiple warnings. Nathan Den Hartog brakes later. Keeps it within track limits. Very good racing from these two here. Let's see how this turns out. Theodore Stonewood stays on the outside. They keep it very, very clean through there. And Theodore Stonewood holds the position for now. However, Nathan and Hartog are going to be in perfect DRS range coming down the back straight. Brakes late. Late apex. On the power earlier. Here we go. Nathan and Hartog in the DRS. Will he go for the move back on Theodore Stonewood? He goes to the outside. Theodore Stonewood brakes late. Nathan goes for the switchback. It doesn't quite pull off for Nathan. Then Hartog does that little switchback maneuver there. And these guys now closing in on Lawrence Shelbish. Does Lawrence have a little bit of front wing damage, or is he just taking it easy? Because he's running 4 seconds off of his best pace at the moment. Alexander Karstoff getting a 3-second time penalty for multiple warnings. He's running last and 40 seconds off of the nearest car, so that's not an issue. Back to this battle here with Nathan and Theodore. Nathan going to be in good range for a DRS pass at the end of this second straight. These guys now closing in a lot on Lawrence Shelbish, and I mean a lot. Which is weird. Obviously, man, Theodore getting really good drive out of there and just pulling away from Nathan. Nothing Nathan can do there. Nathan runs deep. Goes far enough off the curbing that he doesn't think that it's a penalty. Because this game's weird. And if you go a millimetre off track, you get a warning. But if you go far enough off track, it only gives you it doesn't give you a warning at all, which is Codemasters for you basically. But here we go, Nathan and Hartog now dropping back from Theodore Stonewood, not able to stick with Theodore Stonewood as much as he'd like. I don't think. Oh no, he is keeping it there, but Theodore did have a big old wobble on the exit there. And now, with 29, 30, 31, 3 laps left to go of this race here. At the moment, it's looking like Lawrence Shelbish will have his foot in the door to be Season 4. Hey, that rhymed. At the moment, it's looking like Lawrence Shelbish will have his foot in the door to be the Season 4 champion here at VRL Racing. But obviously anything can happen in these last 3 laps. Nathan and Hartog getting a 3-second time penalty for multiple warnings. That is going to be it in the battle for P2. Nathan won't be able to pull out that 3-second gap in the 3 remaining laps. Theodore is the faster driver, I believe. I think it would be pointless now. Nathan will go for the move just in case Theodore makes a mistake in the latter stages of this race. Leaving plenty of room there. Lots of curbing going on here. Yellow flag in sector 2, and it's Alexander Karstoff who is DNF'd. In a very awkward place. In a very, very awkward place, I must say. Oh! Thankfully that car is despawned. Good, good. Nathan knows that that Theodore's going to get this position. If Theodore doesn't make a mistake. I don't know how many warnings Theodore Stonewood is on. We could check before the next. In fact, let's do just that. Instance. I'm not seeing anything yet for. No, so it looks like he is completely clear of any types of penalty. So that means that Theodore Stonewood hasn't even had a warning, I don't think. So Nathan will be hoping that he'll pick up a penalty, but I don't think it's going to happen. But what they've got to watch out for now is that Lawrence Shelbish is dropping all sorts of time on his laps. And I can't work out why. It doesn't look like he has any damage. He's just a second off the pace in the first sector. A second, a whole second. And he's dropping a lot of time. He can't let Theodore Stonewood be within that 3-second gap. Nathan and Hartog now, I expect, will be trying to hold Theodore up as much as he can through the corners. So Sam Zabadami gets past Armin Schleimer relatively easily with DRS assistance there. See now, Nathan knows that, that he can't let Theodore run away if he gets past. He needs to battle Theodore hard so that Lawrence Shalvish stays in the lead of this race. It is working right now for Nathan and Hartog. But Nathan knows he can't let Theodore Stonewood within that 3-second gap. And Lawrence Shalvish is dropping a lot of time. I don't know if he's got front wing damage or what's going on, but he is dropping... He must have damage of some sort. Because he's dropping 4 seconds again down on his best. These guys only 1.2. It's going to take a monumental effort from Nathan Den Hartog to hold up Theodore Stonewood enough. But right now it's looking like Lawrence Shalvish is going to end up finishing second here. It will still put him 1 point ahead of Axel in the standings. Here we go. Nathan now will defend this position with all his might. Theodore doesn't get past there. He is still within that 3-second gap though. Nathan is going to be... Yeah, Nathan's holding him up there. Parking it just a little bit on the apex there in front of Theodore. The gap is now just over 3 seconds. In fact, I'm going to bring up the gap to leader just so that we know how close this is going to be. Nathan, yeah, trying to hold up Theodore Stonewood as much as possible, but at the moment it's not making an impact. Theodore Stonewood still within enough time to get the win. Oh, maybe not. Oh, it's going to be so close. Jack Brassington takes away the fastest lap on brand new softs. But Nathan is going to have to park the car through here, which he is indeed doing. Theodore Stonewood hits him. Theodore Stonewood hits him again. It's not going to be enough though. Theodore Stonewood is going to win this race based on penalties. Lawrence Shalvish comes home in second to take only 18 points. He only takes 18 points because Jack Brassington just took the fastest lap point. So him and Axel Kolstrom are now tied for points going into the final race of the season. It's going to make for very interesting watching at the end here, ladies and gentlemen. Make sure to stick around for next week. Be ready to be here at 5 o'clock BST or 6 o'clock Central European time for the race that will decide it all, as I believe that does leave Lawrence and Axel on equal points, as Armin Schleimer has left the session. Okay. Tom Gitchberts coming to the line. Stan is just behind him, but Stan has got penalties, so that doesn't matter. Because Tom doesn't. So Stan will stay in that P7. Taking home decent points, Stan. Eetu Koskinen behind them in P8. Now we're just waiting on Aidan Brown, who'll be the last driver to cross the finish line in the Alfa Romeo. Coming home in P9, taking home 2 points. Double points finish for Alfa Romeo today. Only taking home 3 points in total, but a double points finish is better than not, you know. Better than a poke in the eye with a sharp stick, as they say. So there we go. That is the end of the Singapore Grand Prix, round 13 of this season 4 here at VRL. Your winner here is Theodore Stonewood of the Mercedes. So as I said, Theodore Stonewood winning the race Then after that, we've got Lawrence Sharvish in the Aston Martin coming in second. Nathan and Hartog also in the Aston Martin. Double podium for those guys today. Very good result for them in third. Then we've got Alexi Guevara in fourth. Cameron Wynn in fifth. In sixth, we've got Tom Gitchberts. Then we've got Stan in seventh. E2 Koskinen in P8. In P9, Aidan Brown, and to round out the top 10 is Sam Zabadami. In P11, we've got Armin Schlomer. In P12, we've got Jack Brassington. And then the two drivers who did not finish the race are Alexander Karstoff in the Ferrari. Started P6. Could have been a good result for him today. Unfortunately not. P14, Ludwig Beresford in the Williams, also a DNF. And Simon Casera in the Red Bull, who also did not finish the race. Unfortunate race today for Jack Brassington. Made the call to go onto hards far too early. It was not dry. Lost all the time and ended up being the last of the runners to cross the line. So next week we have the title decider. Lawrence Sharvish and Axel Kolstrom are on equal points going into the final race of the season. So make sure to be here next week for that, ladies and gentlemen. I'm sure it will be an incredible race. Thank you all for coming along this evening, and I'm sure I will see you next time. Thanks a lot.